latency. This is the most common comment that I get on any of my OBSBOT Tail 2 videos. A lot of people complain that the latency through HDMI especially and through NDI are way too much for professional productions. And honestly, with my setup at our church, I know we have latency, but because of the other ways that we patch audio into our broadcast room, it kind of works itself out to where there's not really a lot of latency between the two signals. But I wanted to test that out and see just how much latency the Tail 2 has in various modes that it provides for output. And I'm going to use the most common. I'm going to use NDI, HDMI, and UVC or USB. And then I'm going to compare it to, going directly into a streaming computer, or I'm also going to compare it to patching it into a video switcher, such as an ATEM, or as I have, the OC GoStream. So I'm going to show you just those different tests, and we'll see what happens. But what I have found out is very interesting, because what I did in addition to this, and this was something that I really didn't think about, was how would it compare if I were to use a different broadcast app? Because most people are using OBS, but there are other apps out there such as vMix, or for this video, I'm going to use Meld Studio, which is probably the newest one out there, and one that I think will get a lot of people's attention, especially after you see these numbers. So let's get into the video. Listen, if you like videos like this, I want you to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and also hit like. Help this video get out there to other people who are curious about latency. This is a big deal because all content creators deal with latency. So if you're interested in videos like this and video reviews on cameras like the Tail 2 or audio devices such as microphone or mixers, this is your home for it. So welcome aboard, everybody. Now let's get to the video. All right, so what I've done in the next series of clips is going to be recordings of CapCut, my video editor, where I've taken the different clips of, the Tail 2 into post, and I've resync the audio and the video. And that way you can measure the number of frames that it takes to resync them back up. And I think this is good data for people to kind of understand just how much latency there is with the Tail 2 in the various modes. And they do change based on the different modes. So that is important to know. Also, I've also done a comparison using my current camera right here, the Sony a6300. I've recorded into the same path, into the same capture card through HDMI at 60 FPS, and then recorded and then brought it into CapCut and did it in post. And I think you'll see a big difference in latency there. So I want to show you that. But what I'll do for you guys and gals that do not want to see this, all this geek, data, I'll provide just a clip, a graphic of this so you can see the various latencies for each of those so that you don't have to go through all the clips. But if you want to watch all the clips, then feel free. I'll provide them all too. All right, so here we go. This is HDMI now instead of UVC, 4K 60 going into Meld. So I will extract the audio so that we can sync it up. And then we'll go to the first, let me zoom in real quick. And then we'll zoom into the first clap, which is probably starting about right there, to be honest. We'll give it that to go. And then we will sync up the transient in the audio. I'll zoom in real good on that just to make sure it's good and accurate. Now this is 60 FPS, so I got a little bit more to play with. I can really, probably about right there is probably about where it's at. All right, so then we can go over here again. We'll line up and see how many frames we got. And we are looking at 6 frames in HDMI at 60 FPS. So that's 16 milliseconds. So you're looking at we're looking at 100 milliseconds. This is the Tail 2 UVC in 4K 30, just going into Meld Vice OBS. So what I'll do now is I'll find the frame. There we go. We got it there. And then I will align my audio again and then measure the frame difference. And right there, we are at 6 frames. So 6 frames at 33 milliseconds is about 180-ish frames, or 180-ish milliseconds difference. Basically 30 times 6 is 180. This is the Tail 2 going in to the Go stream through HDMI at 1080p 60, and then outputting to Meld instead of OBS. So just wanted to see if there's a difference between the frames. So I've already extracted the audio. Here is my first clap on video, and I will then sync the audio together and then measure the frames. I'll move this down. It should be good. Yep, looks good. And then we will measure the frames. And we are right there at 10 frames. 10 frames at 16.6 is 160.6 milliseconds. Same deal. This is HDMI now instead of UVC. 4K 60 going into Meld. So I will extract the audio so that we can sync it up. And then we'll go to the first. Let me zoom in real quick. And then we'll zoom into the first clap, which is probably starting about right there, to be honest. We'll give it that to go. And then we will sync up the transient in the audio. I'll zoom in real good on that just to make sure it's good and accurate. Now, this is 60 FPS, so I got a little bit more to play with. I can really, probably about right there is probably about where it's at. All right, so then we can go over here again. We'll line up and see how many frames we got. And we are looking at 6 frames in HDMI at 60 FPS. So we're looking at 100 milliseconds. Recorded my Sony here. I'm going to extract the audio. And then we'll go in, zoom in, find the first hand clap, and then we will align the audio. So make sure that's good. I mean, that's, yeah. So probably there. And then we will align the audio. And then I don't think we're going to have a whole bunch of frames difference here. It does not look to be a lot. Yeah, it's 2 frames. So that's 30 milliseconds. So that's basically the latency produced by the capture card itself, I really think. At 16 milliseconds, you're talking, you know, that's what, 33.2 at 16.6. So 33.2 milliseconds of latency, and that's basically the capture card, which is the AverMedia Live Gamer Ultra S. So, yeah. So we got a lot of latency with the Tail 2 compared to a typical camera. All right, so, you know, this is something that we really need to concern ourselves with. If we're using a Tail 2 in an environment with other cameras, there's a lot of churches and different people out there that just have multiple different types of cameras set up, you know, whether it be a podcast, that sort of thing. And if you're using a video switcher where you can only set the delay on your audio once, you know, you can't do it per source, well, then there's an issue there if you're using the Tail 2 with another camera, such as a Sony camera that doesn't have near amount of latency off of a HDMI or an SDI, you know, output. So that's a big deal. Something you really need to consider when you're shopping around for a Tail 2. Now, if you have multiple Tail 2s and that's all you have in your setup, then it's not going to be an issue. But, you know, with video switchers like A10 Mini Pros and OC Go Streams, that sort of thing, they've really brought the market to an affordable cost for a lot of people. So people are going to want to use these in their setups vice going to using OBS as a software, you know, to control all your cameras. Now, if you are still going to use, say, OBS, it's not such a big deal because obviously you can do audio offset on each of your specific sources and you're good. But keep that in mind, that, you know, you're dealing with a significant amount of latency. So I recommend that you definitely, when you're setting this up, that you go in and post, measure how many frames of latency that you're seeing, and then set that in your audio offset so that you don't have any desyncing with your audio and video. Okay. So listen, I hope this video helped you out. And if you did like it, make sure you hit the like, please. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications. You know, I'll have a video that goes live. And if you stuck around for this long, I really do appreciate it. Anyway, listen, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.